So the Chicago Bears have just been connected to what to me is just a stunning move. And with all the chatter about this upcoming draft, one move that's gaining a lot of momentum is the Bears actually trading up in the draft. I hadn't thought about it before now, but it's a chance to get the Bears yet another blue chip player and also can be done in a way that the Bears still get to keep the 10th pick overall. So in response to this video, you guys, tell me what's the worst draft move you've ever seen in the history of your life as a Chicago Bears fan. Also, what the best one is. Let's chop it up in the comments. And a lot of you guys get really angry when this subject matter comes up. I'm here for it. So let's kind of get to it here. Ian Valentino of the 33rd team, he believes that the Bears are the perfect fit to trade up with the Houston Texans in this upcoming draft. And kind of filling that out, it's a little lower level, which I love. He suggests that the Bears could comfortably afford to offer the 39th and the 72nd pick overall to the Houstons for pick 25. That's still a first round pick, but it's towards the end of the first round. So here's kind of how the Bears situation would change. Right now, the Bears are at 10th overall, of course, 2 seconds, 39th and 41st overall. Thank you, Panthers. Love you guys. A third rounder at 72 overall, then a fifth, a sixth, and 2 sevenths. So right now, 4 picks in the top 72 in this draft. That's unbelievable. And trading up would leave them with 2 first rounders. So let's kind of look at what that would be. 2 first rounders left, the 10th and the 25th overall, and we would still have a second left. A little wrinkle that I would like to add to this, I don't necessarily like having a second and then not being able to pick again until the 5th round. I think the Texans would very most likely they'd listen to an offer if the Bears said, look, we'll give you a third next year and our second this year, or even a fourth next year. Houston might very well bite on that. So what does this do for the Bears? It provided the Bears with the ability to even take a premier offensive lineman at 10. Think Kelvin Banks or Tyler Booker. My thought is that Will Campbell from LSU, he's not going to drop that far, so I'm leaving him out of this conversation. Then depending on free agency moves, that'll dictate need, of course. This opens up the possibility even going with the best defensive lineman available with the 21st pick. We're looking at Kenneth Grant from Michigan. He's likely going to still be sitting there. This guy's disruptive as a pass rusher with 10 passes defended across the last 2 seasons, and that's tied for the most by a collegiate defensive lineman since 2023. This guy's just a beast, and he's also broken those records at U of M, and U of M is no slouch. You break defensive records there, you're a stud. Looking at Mason Graham at Michigan. We can't get him with either of those picks, but he got most of the attention on Michigan's defensive line. So Grant, being a monster himself, he's kind of flying under the radar a little bit. This guy that played a pivotal role in the Wolverines' 2023 title run. 87.5 is his PFF rating against the run. That ranks 7th among all interior linemen in 2024. Just a welcome addition. Now, one of the reasons I'm going to go through some of these players isn't to sell each one of these players to you. It's to show that trading back into the first round, that opens up a whole different pedigree of players that the Bears could get. We could more easily get 2 blue chip players. Looking at a player like Nick Scourton from Texas A&M. He looks like an absolute stud. 29 tackles for a loss since 2023. That's tied for the 8th most in the country. The guy's going to be 20 years old on draft night, just a young athletic edge with untapped potential. And our linebackers, we've got linebackers that are going to have to be paid very, very soon. Their contracts are almost up. So this brings a player like Jihad Campbell out of Alabama into the conversation. And this guy might be the pure off-ball linebacker in the draft. He recorded 185 total tackles, 5.5 sacks, 21 quarterback hurries. I got to take a breath here. There's a lot of stats. 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and that's over 2 seasons with the Crimson Tide. Then you're looking at Malachi Starks. If you don't know who that is, this is another blue chipper that's brought into the mix that we could now get if we make this trade. Best safety in the draft. We're going to have to need another safety pretty soon to play this Dennis Allen scheme. He's widely considered one of the smartest defensive players in this whole draft. Georgia's leading tackler at safety, 77 on the year. The good thing about him is that this guy lined up absolutely everywhere. 251 snaps in this box, 271 at slot corner, 10 at wide corner, 400 at free safety. All of this is via PFF. Pretty attractive player. Here's another thing that the Bears could do. Double up on offensive linemen, get 2 blue chippers in this absolutely stacked class. So we can look at pairing Booker with Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. Pretty incredible prospect, right? And this could be a situation. What if Trey Smith stays with the Chiefs? What if they back up the Brinks truck for him? What if they still find a way to keep him and he's not available? Chicago's going to have to pivot. Making this draft day trade is actually a really nice way to do that. If you paired up Booker and Gray Zabel, Zabel's a 2024 FCS All-American. He can start at multiple spots. The guy's 6'6" and 304 pounds. Strong showing at the Senior Bowl. That's probably why a lot of us have heard of him at this point. And North Dakota State, they've really churned out some really quality linemen in recent years. The safety position, once again, can shore that up. Malachi Starks is slated by a lot of draft nerds as the 12th best prospect in the whole draft. An absolute steal for the Bears. Safeties typically drop further down in the draft. You could be looking at getting a player like him at number 25. Now we're kind of looking at illustrating the type of player trading back into the first really opens up just a little more. I hope that's enough, but we're looking at Houston. Would they make this trade? I think absolutely, because Houston has never been a team that's afraid to trade picks. If you remember, how did Houston rebuild this team? It was put on the fast track when they hit on CJ Stroud and also traded way up to get Will Anderson. They ended up being the offensive and defensive rookie of the year that year. The rest of the roster, it now has some holes. They have an aging defense. And guys that need to be paid all across the board. This team needs picks. And the only way to plug so many holes, right? Next 2 drafts have as many of the top 100 picks and hope for the best after that. And Houston's need for picks, that's one of the reasons that I think it's very possible that Houston would accept a pick from next year from Chicago. If Chicago's like, okay, we'll give you our second, we'll give you next year's 4th, we'll give you next year's 3rd. And it's not really that big of a trade up. That might be absolutely what Houston would need in order to do this. So anyways, you're looking at the 25th overall pick. It's a way that Chicago can get back up into the first round and not pay a king's ransom for it. You're also looking like teams like the Browns or the Jets. They're teams that have to be a little more aggressive, just like us with the roster building strategies. Those are teams that might also, if Houston puts that pick up for grabs, we might get some competition there. But I really think making this type of deal in the right environment, let's say once again that we can't get Trey Smith in free agency. Let's say we can't get the center that we want. Like a lot of things can happen. This could really be a really nice pivot and solve a lot of problems for this coaching staff. The Bears could actually find a second blue chip offensive lineman with a high ceiling with the number 25 pick. There's even the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. I mean, there's a lot of ways. This just opens up a lot, right? The Bears, they need to be aggressive this offseason. I actually think they will be aggressive this offseason from what I've seen from Ben Johnson and also what Ryan Poles is preparing to do. You can kind of read between the lines and some of the things he's been saying lately. This could just be a huge help to the Chicago Bears if they do not land what they need in free agency. I'm really looking forward to the message board here. You guys, when you're talking about bad things that Chicago Bears staff Brass have done in the past. I get a lot of angry responses. I think they're really funny. Just keep them respectful, keep them within the realm of good taste, and we'll just go back and forth a little bit on the message board. I really appreciate it. This has been so much fun. Comments are my favorite. And like and subscribe as we push towards 10,000 subscribers. This has just been great when I look at how much we have grown here on this channel since just last year. You guys are incredible. Love you. Bear down, and we'll talk soon.